Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? All right, my name is Dr. Mohammed Shah. I'm a manager of academic experience with Kaplan Medical. Thank you for joining today's session. This is outstanding. So many people here. Thank you for joining. All right, so today we have a $1 million question: how to get the residency in the United States. So this means we are going to talk about all the things that related to the residency and how to get it. And if you have any question, there is a question, area that you can type a question pod. So you can write there a question if you have any question to ask. You also have some question polls. Please feel free to answer so we can understand where you are from and so on about you as well. Okay, so how to get the residency in the United States is a question for many IMGs. IMGs ask me very difficult questions and very basic questions. So I will touch base on everything. So by the end of this session, my goal is this, that you get good information that what do I need to do in order to get the match in the United States, right? So that's what the purpose is. That's what my motive is. At the end of this presentation, you should have good understanding what are the things that you have to do in order to match in the United States. What we will cover today is that how to obtain the residency, how to obtain the license and practice as a physician in the United States. We will talk about the process as well as the timeline. Many students have no idea what is the process and what is the timeline. I will give you that. How you can be out of crowd. What are the things that you have to do to be out of the crowd? Every year, about 40,000 plus students apply, and some people don't match, some people match. I will tell you the things that you need to know in order to get the match. So we will talk about that, how to stay out of the crowd. USMLE, I will talk to you about some strategies, study tips that you need to do throughout your preparation. You are studying for step 1, step 2 CK, step 3, whatever the step you are preparing. If you listen what I say and apply, your chances to get a good score will be much higher. So strategies I will mention with you in today, and also about the study plan. You are planning for the study plan on your own, or you're talking to your medical advisor with Kaplan Medical. So we have a great team of medical advisors. They help to create the study plan, individual, your specific strength that focuses on your specific strengths and weaknesses. Okay, let's talk about why. What is the benefit of getting a residency in the United States? For instance, I'm out of the United States in my own country. Why I should consider to practice medicine in the United States? For medical student or a physician, I know how important it is to work in a high top-notch quality environment so you can understand the advanced medicine, new technologies. So I know as a physician, we always want to learn what is coming up for our next generation. But at the same time, this is one of the faster path. You finish your medical graduate, your medical school, and now you have 3 years. You can be a specialized physician in the United States within 3 to 5 years, right? Also, regardless, you are international medical student, you are U.S. medical student, you are Caribbean offshore medical student. Everybody going in through the same process, same application poll, which is same way. So they're gonna evaluate you just like any other student. Even you are an international medical student, you are competing with everybody, including the United States medical students. Also, there is a shortage in it's there is a shortage going shortage. We are start already seeing there is a shortage of physicians, but as time is going to pass, the data is showing that there is a huge shortage will be for the medical doctors in the United States, the way it is right now, the system. So take a full advantage of this. This is your time. Consider getting a match in the United States because odds and chances are much higher than ever before. On the top of that, yes, it's a very well paid profession in the United States. So very well compensated. We as physicians in the United States get very decent salary. All right, how decent, Dr. Shah? All right, this is what we are looking at that. So you see, average, we are starting in this scale, like a 200,000 plus goes to $500,000 a year. So depending on your specialty. So your job satisfaction, in other words, I'm saying, from the perspective of salary is very well satisfied, as well as you are working in a very advanced healthcare environment to do lot of the things much better and much efficiently. So these are the great benefit of applying into the United States residency program if you are IMGs. Okay, okay, Dr. Shah, I'm IMG. What do I need to do? Okay, tell me really good picture that why it's still I'm not still convinced. Tell me more about it. Okay, here is one thing. If you look at the entire population of the US physicians, 25% are the international medical students like IMGs. They are the working in the United States. Also, according to the Association of American Medical Council, they are saying that in next 10 years, we will have a shortage of 45,000 primary care physicians and about 46,000 surgeons and specialists in next coming decade. So I mean, in 10 years, it's pretty big, right? So, and it being saying, I mean to say this, and I wanted to mention this because I want you to understand this is the best time to apply. Look at this data. Maybe you were thinking people who applied 10 years ago had a much better chance. Now it's very difficult to get match in the United States. Look at this data. Look at the 2010, about how many people IMGs matched, about 3,000, 2,800. And fast forward 2019, look at the data. It went to the 4,000. So yes, people are matching much more higher rate than ever before. Okay, what is the application process? All right, I'm really interested to get my match in the United States. What is the application process? Many people have this understanding, many people have no understanding. So if you don't know, let me explain in a summarized way what you have to do in order to apply for the match in the United States. There is an organization called Education Commission for Foreign Medical Graduate, ECFMG. You register with ECFMG, they will verify your documents, verify your identity, and verify your document from your medical school that yes, you are a medical school student there, or you were a medical student and now you're done, graduate. So they will verify all the documents. Then you will fill out the application for the exam. Okay, they will process your application for step 1, step 2, CK, and CS. Now, once you pass these exams, when you pass your step 1 USMLE, step 2 CK USMLE, and step 2 CS. CK is a clinical knowledge, and CS is a clinical skills. When you pass these 3 exams, step 1, CK, and CS, what you become ECFMG certified. It's a beautiful certificate. When you pass it, it comes to your home in mail, and you can do 2 things after you get that certificate. You can start your apply and start your residency, because if you are not ECFMG certified, you cannot start your residency in the United States. That's a mandatory that you have to be ECFMG certified. And another thing is that you have you cannot take the step 3. So yes, you can take a step 3 before your residency start or in between your residency, but you cannot take the step 3 without being ECFMG certified. And any ECFMG certification requires step 1, CK, and CS. Good. Now I obtained my ECFMG certificate. Now what? Then back in the days, like a long time ago, people used to fill out application and send it out to the programs. So people used to fill out like a 50, 60 paper application. So now the process is much faster and efficient and simple. It's called electronic application system. So ERAS, electronic residency application service. So you fill out one application and that goes to the programs. Programs collect all the information. What it contains? It contains your scores, your personal statement, your resume, CV, and your photograph and your letter of recommendation and all the basic information about you. Where did you work? What are your credentials? So on. So it is an application that goes to the programs. Then the programs receive it and call you for the interview. And then once the interview ends, there is called the rank order list. You have to register for NRMP, National Residency Matching Program. So NRMP is a big umbrella. Under that, ECFMG and EROS sits. Once you register with NRMP and you had your interviews, then you have to submit your rank order. For instance, you have 10 interviews. Which one is your choice number one or preference number one, preference number two? That's the way it happens. And it happens in the month of March. So that is the entire process in a summary. And I'm going to touch base individually. So I know I went a little bit fast, but we will get back to that. Okay. You need to understand the match calendar. Okay, so let me explain to you. For instance, you received your medical degree. It's the MD or it's the MBBS or it's, you received your medical degree. So then you have to really plan and prepare, because it's important. If you wanted to perform really well, get a great score, you wanted to have a plan and you wanted to perform and act on your plan that you create. So understand that how long is it going to take me for this step 1 to pass? How long is it going to take me for this step 2 to pass? See it. So average step 1 takes about 3 to 12 months for, depending on the student's strength and weaknesses. I have seen a student pass between 6 to 9 months in average. That's step 1. Okay. Now step 2 is clinical knowledge. Step 2 CK. I mean, that is about same like a 3 to 9 months again, but if you take a mid-range, it's about 6 to 7 months. Now step 1 is become more and more clinical. Then when you move to the step 2 is the clinical knowledge. The step 1, the main question is what is the mechanism? Step 2, what is the diagnosis? Then in between there is a practical exam. So there are patients that you have to take a history, general physical examination. So CS, clinical skills. So board want to know everything. How's your basic sciences foundational knowledge? How's your diagnostic skills? And how are your practical skills, like skills of within the patient, like how good you are taking history, general physical examination, and so on. Once you pass all these, as I mentioned, 3 exams you pass, you get ECFMG certified. You can take the step 3 at that time, and you can apply for a match, and you can start the residency. Right. These are some important dates. I really want your attention on these dates because it's important for you to understand what happened and when. If you miss any of this step, then it will impact on your application. Okay. In the month of the June, what happened in the month of the June? Remember I said EROS, Electronic Residency Application Service, electronic application. There is a token of, they open the token, means it's just like a number. You go and purchase the number from the EROS website, ECFMG website. You purchase the number, then you put that number on EROS website. It open a blank application. They open the EROS in the month of the July. Okay, so you purchase the token in the June. Every year that happens. So regardless, you are applying for a match 2 years from now, 1 year from now. So you need to understand that June, you purchase the token, July, they open the ROS. Now, in the month of the August, you start preparing. You upload your documents, you fill out the application properly, review it, upload your personal statement, letter of recommendations, and then prepare your application. So September 6th, as they says, they start application. So that means early September to mid-September, what happens is that they give you the date in the month of the September. This is the date your application will go to the program. Yes, you filled it out in the month of the June, July, and August, but it was sitting there. On middle of the September or early in the September, your application will go to the program. All those applications will go to the program on the same day when you will apply. So when you apply, it's important to apply early, and I will show you why. So September, your application goes to the program. Then, my friend, interview starts. October, November, December, January, interview season starts. You will be flying throughout the United States, different hospitals. Then, once your interview season is done, then the February, you need to rank those interviews. I had interviews, for instance, 15 hospitals. Which one is my choice number 1, choice number 2, choice number 3, choice? You have to rank them. Okay, that's what happened in the February. Same thing in the February means hospitals will rank you as well. So that's how the match happened. For instance, you pick the hospital, my top priority, and the hospitals think, yeah, you're a really good candidate. That's how the match happened. It's like a relationship bonding between the hospital and the student. So that's how the match happens. That's why we call it match. Then match is announced on the middle of the March, and then you start your residency. Then the residency starts in July. So if you go into the July in residency in hospitals, if you go in the month of the July in a hospital, you will see fresh residents. All right, they come to the residency program. Now there is a lot of things, a lot of doubts you have. I know that there is a lot of concerns you have, uncertainties you have, and I'm going to touch all those points. I know what you're thinking. How should I prepare? What are my chances? What I have this negative thing or that negative thing. I will touch base on that. So let's get to some of the things that I wanted to discuss with you first before I get to your concern and questions. Okay. How important is that I apply early? Early means as soon as the September comes and they open the application, and I should apply. Why? Look at this. What is the best time to get the interview call is October. So in the month of September, about 18% of the programs, they call for an interview. But about majority of the programs, 65% of the programs average, they call usually in the month of October. October is the time they call you for interview. If you don't have your scores available, you can still send out the application, but your application will be not really strong. Okay. How to decide if to take step 3 before? Okay, that's a very good question. The question is that how do I decide how to decide to take this step 3 before I apply for the student residency? I will touch base on a step 3. My question to you is this: when the residency start, how your first year will be? Will it be relaxing because you're new there, or you have to catch up with the things you just passed the exams? No, it will be hectic. It's will be crazy. You not gonna have a time. So I mean to say, my suggestion is that take step 3 before your residency start. Even my suggestion is this: even better, have your step 3 in your hand before the September arrive. That way, when this month comes, October, November, December comes, and your application goes out, your application will go out with the step 1, step 2 CK, step 2 CS, and step 3 in it. That means you are having good advantage. You are out of the crowd. Many students don't have a step 3 when they apply, and this is going to get you a good amount of the interview calls. Okay, tasks that you have to complete in order to get matched is that you wanted to pass, you have to pass step 1, step 2 CK and CS in order to get the match. This is the big test that you have to complete. It takes about 2 years normally to complete all these tests. You know what? The Kaplan have a course called the Complete Prep. I really want you to look at that. Complete Prep comes with everything. It's a step 1, CK, CS in it. Now, after you pass these exams, get a score, good score, okay? Once your score is available, and decide which specialty you apply. When you are as a kid, you want to know where are you going to. You want to say, oh, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an artist, I want to be an engineer. Just like that, now you decide to be a physician. You have to decide which specialty, because every specialty have a certain threshold. Every specialty is not equally divided. In other words, I'm trying to say some specialties are very, very competitive, my friend. There are very few spots and everybody is applying to that. That means the score requirement is much higher. There is a lot to do in order to get the match in those competitive programs. So think about what specialty you apply now. And that's exactly what the US physicians do, US medical students do. When they are in the medical school, they think about that, okay, this is what I want to be, and they work hard to get that score. Like, oh, I want to be a general surgeon. So what is general surgeon minimum score I should have? Oh, I wanted this much score. Okay, got it. So you plan and prepare, okay? Now research where you will apply, because geographically, United States, there are areas, they are packed with hospitals and residency program like East Coast, West Coast versus the mid United States. So if your decision is that I wanted to live in the mid-United States, then you have certain hospitals to apply. And if you are open, I will apply everywhere, because now there is no California PTAL and nothing like that. I will apply everywhere. So then you have a much more bigger chances to match, okay? Because your odds will increase that you will send more applications, okay? Okay, about the clinical experience. Big question. I get it all the time. What about the clinical experience? Where can I get the clinical experience? There are many ways. As I mentioned, one program that I mentioned to you, the Kaplan offer, is you can discuss with our enrollment team, is called the Complete Prep. And the second one that we have a program for the clinical is a Step 2 CK Clinical. That program, the Clinical to CK, is a combination of both. You will learn, and you will also learn the content as you will learn in the practical life in the hospital. So it's both. It's clinical and classes as well. But again, I would suggest please touch base with our enrollment team about those programs. Letter of recommendation, big thing. Program directors will need to know that do you have a good letter of recommendation from the US physician? You need that, my friend. You need that. So you need to have at least, how many letter of recommendation should I have, Dr. Shah? I would say 3. Okay. Submit your application documents on time. Upload it, get it ready before the September arrives. Then when the September arrives, prepare your application and send it out. Complete your clinical experience. Look at the visa status and prepare for the interview. All this hard work, getting clinical experience, passing my exams, being ECFM, all this hard work, prepare my EROS, is for the interviews. Higher the number of interviews, higher the chances to get matched. For instance, I have 1 interview call. You have 15 interview calls. Who you think have more chances to match? We both worked 2 years for the passing exam, clinical experience, and so on. So higher the number of interviews, higher the chances of match. So you want to get the higher number. And what will get you to the higher number of interviews? We already talked, and I will talk more about it. Okay. About CS, step 1 and step 2 CK scores usually come back in 3 to 4 weeks, within a month, I mean to say. But be careful, if you're applying next year, you need to look at the timing when I should take the CS, because the CS takes longer. In this example, look at this yellow highlighter that I highlight. Somebody who's taking exam on the month of May 19th, score for the CS will be available by the 14th of August. Late, fast forward. Somebody's taking exam CS by the July 13th, your score will be available for the CS score available by the September 11th. Now that's a good time, because you don't want to delay that. If you delay taking the CS after July, that means your score will not be available in the September. Then when the application, everybody will be submitting their application. So you wanted to have your scores in your hand before it goes out to the program. Incomplete application is not good. You want to have a complete application. As remember I mentioned, even if you can add a step 3, okay? There is a question about the visas. Look, I would suggest contact our enrollment team and discuss, but here there are 2 kind of visas. One is that ECFMG will give you, one is that the hospitals will give you. And the one requirement is that you have to pass the step 3. Another one is that you also have to go back to your country for 2 years after you finish the residency program. But discuss with our enrollment team. They are going to give you more information about that. Let's dive in furthermore. How about the match data? I wanted to be I want to look at that. What are chances if I'm applying next 2 years from now? Where the things are moving. Look at this data. I pulled this data from this year match, and this year match is one of the biggest match of ever happened. So it's fascinating to see these results. I wanted to share it with you. Allopathic, US allopathic means MD program students, those who studied here. About 18,900 people applied. 17,700 matched. So it means to say that 100% population, whoever applied for the match in 2019 from the US medical students, 94% almost matched. Okay, so it's pretty big number. Now, looking at the IMGs, there are two types of IMGs. One is the US IMG, like me. I'm a graduate from different country, but I am US citizen. So that means I'm a US IMG. If I was not in the United States and I don't have a US citizenship and no green card, that means I'm not a US IMG. I'm a non-US IMG. So the number that I'm showing you, US IMGs, how many people applied? 5,000 people applied and about 3,000 matched, which is 60% almost. Non-US IMGs means who globally people applied without having any visa status in the United States, they applied. About 6,800 people applied and 4,000 people matched. It still is a 60% almost. So my friend, it's a pretty big number, 60%. You think it's less? Maybe in the past that number was much higher. People used to be, 80%, 90% people used to get match IMGs. Look at this. I'm going to share this because you wanted to understand where the things are moving. What before we kill the beast, we want to know how the big the beast is. Look at that now. Beast is much smaller than before. Fast in 2010, 10 years ago, average matching ratio was about 40%. So people, IMGs, US, non-US, they used to match about 40%. 100% population applied and about 40% match. Now it's much bigger. So it's in 2019 match average 60% population. How many people applied? 60% matched. That's pretty good news for you guys. And I hope and I pray this trend keep on going. Okay. If I'm applying, what program directors really look at? Look, program directors gonna look at your score. That's big in front of the program director. That's a basic filter. If you and I are applying into the same program, they have to look at our both application. So they will compare our scores. Whom should I call and give my time? Program director will think that way. Whom I should call and give my time? Is Dr. Shah's score is better or other person's score better? So score matters because higher the number of a score, higher the interview call. And how you gonna get the high score? My friend, you got to prepare well. You got to use right resources in the right pace, in the right time. Because if you are using the wrong resources and have no good study plan, your score will not be as perfect. So I know I've been in it. I've been in your shoes before. I'm telling you that scores matter. And for getting a high score, you need to prepare well. Okay. And Kaplan is the best. I tell you, the more exam specific content you learn, you prepare faster and you will retain better. There is a lot of other programs that I've said that they're not really exam specific. You wanted to learn exam specific. Tell me something that what will come in exam. Tell me something that will be useful in exam. So exam specific preparation, my friend. Okay, year of graduation. Many IMGs really worry so much about the year of graduation that I think I have seen many students who graduate a long time ago, 20, 15, 30 years ago. They prepare, they come to United States, prepare well, they pass with the high score, get the match. So year of graduation does matter. For some population of the program director really care about the year of graduation, but that population is really small. Majority of the program directors look at more scores, okay? And clinical experience. How much the student know how to practice as a physician in the United States. They care about that. You have to obtain a really good clinical experience and a good letter of recommendation. A good letter of recommendation is not a generic, it's not a character certificate. Normally the letter of recommendation is very generic. The good letter of recommendation and you convince with your work experience under whomever you are working, that how you went above and beyond the duties that were assigned to you. Personal statement. You need to write a good personal statement. One page of the personal statement that is something that, tell the program director why you want to be a general surgeon, why you want to be OB/GYN specialist, why peds. Okay, so it's your opportunity to write a good letter to the program. And when the day arrives, regardless, you have one interview or you have a 20 interview, I pray that you have a lot more interviews when the day arrives. Prepare for the interview well. Anticipate what possible questions they will ask me and what my answer will be. Okay, practice before the day of the interview arrives. Okay, US residency selection process. This course, as I mentioned, how well is your application? Does it contain good letter of recommendation? Does it contain good personal statement, clinical experience? So your application, how well your interview went, okay? How well you, impress the program directors? How well they are convinced that you are the candidate they are looking for? And then the rank orders, the way I said. Okay, now tell me, this is the number that I wanted to show you so you can understand how many people apply, basically. So just example, one hospital had a 7 number of positions. Just example, one hospital had a 7 number of positions. Guess what? How many applications they received? They received about 900 applications. Okay, out of 900 applications, they sent out the interview calls to 121. So, and 95 people showed up. Now, how many people ranked with the hospital? 82 people ranked to the hospital. So in journal, I'm trying to show you 7 openings available in one hospital. It's easy to see 1,000 applications. So even the positions are growing and growing and growing. In this year, there were 2,000 more positions open than the year before. So I'm telling you that the chances are much higher, and there are more and more positions are getting on board with the NRMP. But same time, competition is there. You will face the competition, and you have to prepare well. So you see, people receive the application, program receive the application, about 48% and 47%, half, almost 50%. They accept and they reject. They're reviewed and they reject. So half of the application they review, half of the application they reject off the table. Why off the table? Because the low score, because incomplete application, no score. For instance, have a step 1 score and that's it, no CK or CS score, or have low scores, or have no good clinical experience. So if your application is not completely perfect, it will be off the table. So by me saying that, I'm telling you that when the time arrives, when the September arrives, have a good scores in your hand, have a good clinical experience. Okay, what is good score? I heard it. What is good score? Average I'm talking about now. Before we get to the good, let's talk about average. You want to have a score 235, 236 in the step 1. People have a really difficult time when the score is 220 or below. Now, that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing that they will look at the step 1 and score, and that's it. But if your score is good in a step 1, it's a good start to dissect your application further and look at it in more detail. Then your step 2 CK score. If your step 1 is higher, for instance, if your step 1 score is 250 or above, try to get higher than that in a step 2 CK. So show the trend. But average, people match it with 240. People who have a difficult time to match is 228. Okay, look at this. My odds with my scores. This is the data that is on an NRMP booklet. So I mean to say, on the NRMP, you will find this, that what are my odds? Non-US IMGs, which is a green line, versus the US IMG, which is a blue line. Look at that. If somebody is getting 260 in a step 1, you have a 80% chances to match. 80% chances to match. It's pretty good, right? It's excellent. 80% chance. You give me 80% chance that match, I'm gonna work hard. So I'm telling you, there is a 80% chances to match if you get to the 250 score. Okay, so score matters. Prepare well. Use right resources. Now, your step scores. Probability. How much? Okay, I'm not in 250 range. What are my chances? So these are just, I'm giving you some breakdown. Okay. So if your score is less than 200, you have less than 20% chance. If you is between 210 to 19, it's pretty decent score, and so I mean to say this is the breakdown. Okay, let's talk about the specialties. I want to be a family medicine specialist. I want to be a neurologist. I want to be a surgeon. So where my score should be, look at these data. I'm giving you one example. You can take a look at this data and look at the specialty that you are aiming for. People who match in internal medicine, about 1917. Unmatched positions were 14. Unmatched, I mean, people, the students were about 1400 students. Okay, those who match, what was their step one score? 236. Those who did not match, what was the score? It's 222. And same thing with the step 2 CK. Step 2 CK, you see, it's a much higher score. In 240 in a step 2 CK, people match. And when it's dropped down to 227, 228, it's very difficult to match. But I'm trying to say this. Your goal shouldn't be 220, 240. Your goal should be much higher. You should be aiming for 250 or above, because you are going to face a good competition and you want it to be relaxed. You want to be under the comfort zone that, yes, I'm in a very much strong position to match because I have a really good score. So you wanted to aim for 250 or above. Okay. So that's my recommendation. Think and mindset, create a mindset like that. Okay, that was non-US IMGs. Look at the same results. Like in US IMGs, if you are a US citizen but graduated from different country, almost the same thing. Like look at the general surgery. Okay, 61 people match US IMGs in general surgery. The person who match, 237 is the score, and did not match in a step one, like the score was 228. This is good. This is a good data. You, as I said, we want to know how the big the beast is before we try to be prepared to beat the beast. So you have to know these data. Okay, I'm glad you joined today so you can clearly understand that what I'm facing. Now, I know, as I said, big chances ever than before. So if people were even 10 years ago was so difficult to match and they got it, you are in a much better position now. Kaplan Kaplan courses are designed to make you equip for getting that X score. So I mean to say that it's a really exam specific. So review your content really well. These are the states: New York, Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I'm from California, even it's there. So these are the 10 IMG friendly states. Now, how should I prepare for this exam? Step one, as I said, it's a basic foundational knowledge. Okay, subjects like anatomy, behavioral, biochemistry, all these basic sciences subjects, you have to, do well on that. The board says, if you go on an ECFMG website, it says the exam required the mastery on the content. It doesn't require just a basic understanding. Mastery means what? Mastery means is you need to understand what is the integration, how my renal system is connected with my cardiovascular system, how my autonomic nervous system is connected with my autonomic cardiovascular or renal system or endocrine system. I mean to say integration, how the biochemistry is connected with the microbiology. I mean to say that type of integration you have to build. Okay. Also, the first pass ratio is 73. It's pretty good. Passing is 194, but that's not the goal. Then once you pass this step one, your big challenge will be clinical knowledge, internal medicine, peds, surgery, OBGYN, and peds psychiatry. So 75% chances to first passing rate. Okay, CS is pass fail. You do well, you pass it. You don't, one of the components. So they will test your communication. They will test your how interpersonal skills are, your spoken language, and also your patient encounter. So they will see that all how your history taking skills are. So CS, and then in the final step 3 is 2-day exam. The rest is step 1 CK, and CS is 1-day exam. Step 3 is 2-day exam. All right. Okay, I want to touch base because this is important. I want to spend a few minutes on this slide. When you wanted to do something really well, look, it's difficult to get into the medical school. You decided to get in medical school. What you did, you believed in yourself. You worked hard after you believing in yourself. You really worked hard, but you got there. You have to bring that mindset back again. Believe in yourself. Develop concept, develop it, mindset that I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. So develop a good confidence that I can do it. Then create a steady plan. Then use your resources. Then plan out that this is my plan for next 6 months. These are the things I'm gonna use. This is how I'm gonna use. Okay, having the books on the shelf not gonna help you. You need to know how you're gonna use them and how many times you're gonna use them. Create a really daily good schedule will get you there. Okay, so build the confidence. Then the framework, books, videos. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with too many resources. You want to pick the best one and you want to hit the same button again and again until you get to the mastery. So I mean to say that pick limited good resources. Then, work on weak area. Evaluate yourself. Judge yourself. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with yourself. That these were my strengths. Now I improved. I have still to grow in these areas. Okay. Then at the end, high-yield topics. Think about the topic that you have to know in and out everything, like cardiovascular. Will it possibly come on an exam? Of course it will. Like myocardial infarction chances are high. Yes, high. Hepatitis chances are high. Yes, high. Nephrotic syndrome chances are high. Yes, high chances. So all those high yield topics you really need to know well. QBank is your best friend. I mean, Kaplan QBank is your best friend. You call your best friend with something else, don't. That is not your best friend. Kaplan QBank is your best friend. The best friend tells you these are your weaknesses, right? And that's what the Kaplan QBank will tell you. Equip you, get you better day by day. You read question and read explanation. Make mistakes so you don't make those mistakes on the day of the exam. Okay, so practice, practice, practice on your QBank. Now, students, what they do is this. They really start jumping on the practice mode. I was a student. I started that way as well. I don't want you to make that mistake. Practice on the questions comes later. First, you need to learn your content. You need to know the content really well. Then you perform on doing QBank and questions. So questions later. First, you learn. Everybody make mistakes. Best students made mistakes. I made the mistakes. And I think to learn from other people who did really good and not make those mistakes even will give you a good advantage and even will get your high score higher. So now here is my suggestion. Try not to make these mistakes. Okay, passive study. What is passive study? Passive study is this. You have a target, 30 pages. You went to the library, you sit down, but your brain is occupied with different thoughts. That's called passive study. That's a big enemy of any medical student. In fact, any student, but especially for the medical student who's preparing for the board exam, passive study should be. You should have a really laser sharp focus on the book, on the page that is in front of you, or the video that you're watching, or you are in the class that your professor is talking. You should learn in active mode. Passive study is bad. Insufficient quantity of the questions. On the day of the exam, if the thought comes, oh, I am doing really well on a physiology. I wish I would have done more question on a biochemistry because I think I did not do more question on biochemistry. I was ignoring that. And I did many questions on other subjects. I wish I would have done more. That's bad. I really want you to understand you need to practice on all subjects equally, even the behavioral sciences or other subjects, biostatistic or subject that you don't maybe like. I'm giving an example. Any subject equally matters. So practice, practice, practice on questions. The exam is not mathematical exam. It's not a memorizational test. You know what? Your brain as a physician or a medical student, board knows that your brain is really super good. Your brain is the best of the best the society have. That's why you're a physician. That's why you're a medical student. You're good in memorization. I mean to say, you're really good in memorization. They're not going to test your memorizational skills. They know that you're good in it. You can memorize 15 things in very short period of time. So they will understand. They will go after the conceptual understanding that can this person give me a conceptual approach. Okay, so they will go on. There is a lot to memorize, like gluconeogenesis, or like vitamins, or gram positive, bacteria, RNA, DNA. What you have to memorize all those things, but everything have a background story, and the Kaplan is giving you that concept. Okay, an exam specific way, not just way that is written in a textbooks. How the USMLE will test your knowledge. Misreading, okay, inappropriate test day first. Your test should be coming in the 6 months from now, but you want to rush, you want to get it done faster. Don't do that. You take the exam when you are at the peak, and don't stay on the peak long, because if you do, you will start forgetting a lot of things. Get to the peak, then take the exam. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Some people get it faster, some people slower. Okay. How many of you are a victim of this? You read the content and you read the entire organ system. Now you're doing questions on that, but your score is still not up to your expectation because you misread and misinterpret the questions, right? Don't do that. Work on throughout now. You have a many months now. Every question matters. Understand how the questions are created. If you are a visual learner, watch more video, create more graphs. If you are auditory learner, listen to more videos. Okay, listen to more videos. If you are somebody who's learn more by creating the outline charts, do that more often. Okay, but throughout, ask yourself questions. Why the book is saying what book is saying? Why the professor is saying what professor is saying? Okay, so always ask why question, and you will be really good. I'm giving you certain example how the exam is in today's date. In 80s, questions were like that, right? Look at the question, one line question, just asking which of the following structure is most likely be affected in Alzheimer's disease. They give you the disease, they're asking which organ, which structure will be affected. All right. Now, question is, the answer is hippocampus. That is question in 80s. Fast forward in 90s, they learned, okay, these students are really doing well. Let's make it more difficult. Let's make it double jump. So look at this. The question is like aiding now, 72-year-old woman is brought to the physician by her husband, stating that she is having trouble recognizing grandchildren. Now you have to think, they are not giving you Alzheimer now. You have to understand, is this Alzheimer or not? Once you understand that, then you can say, oh, now these signs and symptoms are Alzheimer, and yes, the answer should be but I mean to say that you recognize exam switched, become more clinical now. You have to understand the sign and symptoms before they give you the name of the disease. Fast forward now, today it's triple jump. Now look at that, same story, but they are giving you an MRI. I know you are thinking it's hippocampus, but again, they are giving you MRI, and you have to recognize in among option A, B, C, D, which one is the hippocampus. So they went triple jump. You need to understand the anatomy, structure, as well as the disease and how the imaging will look like. Not only that, same story will happen in hormones, like for example, endocrine arrows up and down, like in respiratory section, same thing, up and down arrows. Okay. In other words, I wanted to say passing is not enough. If you wanted to imagine a good, really good residency program, you wanted to pass in first attempt and you want to get high score. If you have attempt, if you have appeared in the exam and you have a failure, nothing you can do about that. But what you can do to fix it is this. Next time when you appear in the exam and get the highest possible score, okay? So when you will go to the interview, because you are high score, they will call you interview, they will ask you, Doc, what happened? You have a really good score, but you have attempt in the past. You might have a reasonable explanation, okay? So get a high score. And you cannot retake. Once you pass, you cannot retake. So once you pass it, it's done. You have to, it's a 7-year good score well for the 7 years. So I mean to say that once you pass it, it's done. Okay. Also, I'll try to get application out as early as possible. Okay, so you can get a good number of interviews. As I mentioned earlier, the score is the big and initial factor that the program director will filter. Okay. Okay, so the study plan, there are two things. One is a study plan that month by month, and one is a study schedule from morning to night. So study plan and a study schedule should coordinate and meet. So you have to really create a good structure to your daily schedule, and you also have to create a good study plan. Okay, so I mean to say that utilize your resources. Okay, this is my content review phase, this is my practice phase, and this is how much I will improve in between these timelines. So create a good outline. Okay, if you need help, please contact our enrollment team and discuss the courses that we offer, and take a full advantage of that, because your career matters. And our mission is that we really wanted to help every single medical student possibly we can. So reach out to our enrollment team. We have a different kind of enrollments that meet to your needs, and talk to the enrollment advisor. Okay, things that you consider when you create a plan: that what are your strengths and what are your, don't compare with others. Somebody have a long time for the biochemistry and short time for pathology, maybe not for you, maybe it should be opposite. So I mean to say, create your strength study plan according to your strength and your weaknesses. Each subject is different, okay, but make sure you give enough time to the each subject, okay, and do enough questions, and try to adopt in a different learning ways. The best way that works for everybody is teaching. When you learn something, you don't have to really be in a expert in an EKG. You don't. You learn something, sit down with someone and verbalize it. So if you can verbalize it, that means you really have a good concrete knowledge about it. If you don't, then you need to go back again to the book and look at book again. So teaching is the best way to learn. Okay, and again, create your individualized study plan. I really need your attention on this slide. Okay, so look at this. There is a phase of the content. There is a phase of the question. I mean, from morning, the day begin, and the end, the day end. So, and also the timeline, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever the timeline you have for the step one exam or a step two exam. Look, in the beginning, it's not good idea to do question. In the beginning, the good idea is to learn the content, understand the core concepts. As you understand the concepts, and slowly keep on doing more and more questions. Okay, when you get nearby the exam, now a few weeks away from the exam, you should be doing what? You should be doing more and more question. Why more question? Because the day of the exam will not gonna only challenge your mental stamina, but it will also gonna challenge your physical stamina. So exam day, when the day is long, you have a 7 blocks in a step one and 8 block in a step two CK. You need to prepare well, because higher the score, remember, higher chances to match. So prepare well and build the endurance, build the stamina. Step one, the step two CK, or even at the step three. I tell you this, the entire each exam is the game of two things: your knowledge, your good knowledge, and can you recall that within 90 seconds, for example, in a step one. If you have a really good knowledge, you can talk and give a lecture on a cystic fibrosis, but I create a 5 question on cystic fibrosis on USMLE style, and you cannot give me the right answer on 5. That knowledge is not good. Okay, and each question is, for instance, 90 seconds. So I mean to say, USMLE is a game of two things: knowledge and recall. With the Kaplan, that's what we build in our students. Okay, why Kaplan? I give you that example. So I know there must be a lot of questions, so I have about 5 minutes to answer your questions. So let's see what question I have. Other than that, I mean, we can talk about different things. So, let me see what question I can receive. If there is any question, please send it to my way. I would suggest evaluate yourself when you are nearby the exam. When you are nearby the exam, you do more and more questions to evaluate yourself. Read explanations of all answers. Reading explanation of only incorrect is a bad idea. So I would suggest reading explanations of all answers. You did a block, 40 questions, and time mode, go back and read the explanation of all. Okay, QBank is not a good predictor. I tell you that. If you wanted to know you are doing really good, my suggestion, QBank is a good practice tool. Okay, don't take me wrong. You want to look at the QBank score, you look at the overall 9-10 blocks that you did. But the QBank is a good practice tool and give you some idea how are you doing. If you're doing between 75-85% means you're doing good. If you want to evaluate yourself, take an MBME exam. Okay. And I'm talking about somebody asking about the Kaplan QBank or the UWorld QBank. Any QBank. The good QBank is just a practice tool. Okay. So the question is, does a QBank or the UWorld predict your test results? So I give you already answer. So it's pretty good practice tools. We have both. Now, when you are reading the Kaplan books, you wanted to write your notes into the note margin. That way, your information will be in one place. When and how many times I should read the Kaplan book? That's one of the questions I get. I would suggest reading the Kaplan book depend, but usually students read about 3 times. So you review all the books at least 3 times. Yeah, first reading will be very detailed and intense and slow. The second reading will be much more a little bit faster. You can skip the things, and the third reading probably much more fast. What would be an example of a good time schedule for the student who's studying doing questions? Okay, very good question. I'm glad you mentioned that, because you know what, doing questions, why we do QBank question, so we can recall what we learned, right? And I tell my students, and many times they tell me they do the question in the evening time. Not a good idea. So structure, you're asking what is the schedule. Do question first thing in the morning. Do maybe 2 blocks back to back. If you're in the phase of doing questions now nearby the exam, try doing 2 blocks back to back, no break. This will help you to build your stamina, endurance. Then read the explanation throughout the day. Okay, don't do questions when you're too tired. All right. Okay, how many MBMEs I do? Many students ask me that. It depends. I would say whatever the available MBMEs are pretty good. Okay, and Kaplan give you 2 in Kaplan courses such as a live online course. We have 2 simulated exams. So, and also I would suggest when you are using a Kaplan QBank, you wanted to mimic the exam day multiple times before the exam day arrives. I mean to say this. What I used to do when I was like 5 weeks away from exam, so every Friday I was doing 7 blocks back to back, and I was giving myself 1 hour break time, just like I was just pretending it's my exam day. So every Friday 5 times I did that. So on the day of the exam, it was just like feeling like the same way. So I mean to say, try when you are nearby the exam, you do that exercise. That will help you to build the confidence and endurance and stamina. Okay, so other than that, I wish you all the best. I think I answered most of your questions. Again, reach out to our customer support at Kaplan. Do not hesitate. We are here to help you, and reach out to us if you have any question. Okay, it's my honor. It's my really big honor and privilege, and I'm really happy that I was here. So thank you for joining. I wish you all the best and enjoy the rest of the day. And if you have any question, and leave in a comment. I know this video is also on the YouTube. So if you are watching this on the YouTube, subscribe to our channel and leave any question, any comment you have in the comment box below, and hit the bell icon. So when the next time the new video comes, you get notification. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for having me here. Take care. Bye.